So I just kind of felt like making a video. I'm gonna move my mirror. This is my mirror. Say hi, mirror. Oops. You know what I think I may, let's try, I'm gonna try to make, I'm gonna talk about something, but right quick, what I'm gonna do is see if I can't get a, I don't like this look. And this, right now, the only light I have in this room is this lamp that's behind, there's a lamp behind my computer right here. And if you can't tell, the light's coming directly on my face, right? And what I'm gonna do, I have two monitors. What I'm going to try to do is use my second monitor as a light, because right now it's got a black background, and you'll see, like, say if I do let's go what color should I do? I have like a greenish, my video has a greenish tint, so what color would I use to offset that? I don't know. Let's just try blue. I don't want to try blue in the YouTube. Let's try blue here. Let's see what happens. That didn't work. Now you see that's the white light, right? That's not blue. I wanted blue. I want this picture. Can I not have the fucking picture? How's that? Is that better? I have to look at what I'm doing. Not really. So blue's not helping me. No. Let's try orange. Video. I want a photograph, please. Photograph. God damn it. Can I just see the goddamn picture? Alright, now let's see what happens. Yeah, now I have an orange light on my face. Orange light. You know what? Red is the opposite of green. Let's try red light. Let's just try red light. Oh my god. I need to look at the stuff that I'm clicking on, because I just want an image. I don't want to get Pinterest. Let's see here. Vector stock. Oh my god. Let's see. Red. No, okay, whatever. Okay. How's that? That wasn't too bad. I mean, maybe some magenta would work better, but I think this is good for now. So what am I going to talk about? I think it might be transgender people. I think it might be official. It is. It's hard to say. I feel better about myself since I started doing all this gender exploration stuff. What's up with my makeup? Got a little bit too much right here. hi. Um, uh, I feel better since I started doing this, and I question like why, like why do I feel better? And like today, there's been a few times today where I just felt depressed and that sort of thing, and usually it was involving what other people thought of me, uh, and usually the the shame or the what was depressing me was the idea that people think I'm too effeminate. And maybe there are other words associated with effeminate, like weak and that kind of thing, that go with that, which might be where the shame comes from. Because that is one of the that's been one of the difficulties for me is getting over that idea that like being effeminate or being like a woman means also being weak and that sort of thing. And as someone who lived as a man for 38, 39 years before I started the gender swapping stuff, uh, especially being in masculine heavy environments. I mean, like, even my family life, the women in my family seem to not like being women. They seem to despise femininity. And because of its association with being vulnerable, with being soft, with being weak, and that sort of thing. And but that was kind of the judgment that I feared, you might say, that this judgment of just being effeminate and soft and weak and passive and submissive and all these other sorts of things. And but when I get into that mind state, when I start feeling that just shame and that kind of uh, just getting down on myself, sometimes I just think of myself as a woman, and I just start immediately to feel better. It's like it's almost like in my head, it's like I'm beating myself up for being like a woman, and I tell myself essentially what you're saying to yourself is that it's not okay to be a woman or to be like a woman. And once I turn that around and I start to say like I am like a woman, it's okay to be like a woman. Uh, that's when I start to feel like yeah, I kind of feel like it's not it's not just me beating myself up when I say that I'm like a woman. I am actually like a woman, right? And part of the change in that was just from coming to the realization that yeah, it is okay to be like a woman. So, and most of that has come through uh, like realizing how my gender is tied up with my sexuality. And that might not make any sense, but oh, oh, uh, well, one of the things that I've realized is like that. Let me back up a little bit. When I was before all this, before the transgender epiphany, living as a man, going out with, trying to have a social life, dating and meeting people random strangers sometimes. Like I dated quite a few women throughout my life. I used to go to gay bars sometimes and hook up with totally random strangers. And But over all that, I ended up with basically a sex life or a love life that you might say that was just unsatisfying. It was just like, it's not, it's almost just better to be single, you know? Because what I'm getting from those encounters or relationships, just, it wasn't worth the trouble. Um, and What I'm discovering now is that a lot of that dissatisfaction was coming from this inability to be effeminate, to be like a woman. And there was a lot of times when I knew that, like with women, that I wanted to be treated more like a woman. That there were times when I was with women where I felt like I wish you saw me as a sexy woman kind of. I don't remember thinking it in that specifically, but it was more like I want them to kind of like look at my body and feel like they want to kiss my body and to caress me and things like that. And I want something more like what I see when I watch lesbian porn when I'm with women than what I see when I watch heterosexual porn. When I watch heterosexual porn, typically, I know people will say, porn is not, it does not represent how people actually are. But when I watch heterosexual porn, I'm like, yeah, that's not what I want. So now, like I said, people might say that's not representative of reality, but I'm trying to make a point that if you put these kind of two on like a scale, right? Like if you have a scale where you got like the heterosexual porn on one side and the lesbian porn on the other side, what I want is pretty much somewhere over here. And that's something that I've discovered through doing all this. Like I've discovered that just feeling feminine. It's hard to explain what it means to feel feminine, but for me, it that also means to feel beautiful, to feel beautiful in this kind of just passive, peaceful, almost like I am like a paradise for somebody to walk in. When I start to feel that way, then I become more aroused. It is a little bit ironic that because I'm taking hormones currently. I'm taking estrogen, spironolactone, finasteride to help me hopefully regrow my hair, and progesterone, which I'm not entirely sure what progesterone is. As far as I know, it's related to it's has something to do with like childbirth. When women get pregnant, that their progesterone goes up or something like that. I'm not entirely sure, but so all that is currently, that has been slowly just dampening my sex drive, right? But despite that, the more feminine I feel, the more aroused I get when I do get aroused. So, and there are times when I get so aroused that I feel like this was the missing ingredient all those years, that where I was just dissatisfied and that sort of thing. I kind of feel like if I had been doing this back then, if I had started hormones, say when I was in my 20s, by the time I was in my 30s, I might be like, having a rock star sex life. I might be married or something like that. I don't know. But I do feel, what I feel like is that was the gender was the reason for the disappointing sex life. And but that when I see that and when I get that, I feel like, well, now I feel better. Now I feel like even though maybe I was down on myself before for being effeminate, now that it's like once I get into that sexual kind of place where I feel like, yeah, no, being a woman is a good thing. There is this very much like I actually get excited, about certain things like being with a woman or even being with a man. Where I think, like when I was with men before, I knew that I did not like men being attracted to me as a man. I always felt like if a man saw me as, like an attractive man and wanted to be my girlfriend, you might say, I always felt like that's not going to work. And since then, I have realized that it is more. If I'm going to be with a man, then the appeal for me there is that is to get to be the woman, and it was not until within the last since I started doing this really where that really started to kind of to the picture started to become clearer, you might say. That like if I like when I think of a man being attracted to me or being aroused by me, it it arouses me more to think of him being aroused by me the way a man is aroused by a woman. If that makes sense. And that was not an easy thing to accept, but uh, there are still some things that I feel like there are hard pills to swallow, you might say. But just based on the way things are going, I feel like unless this is like some kind of rite of passage that I'm going through, where I go through this and then I come out the other side more of a man than I ever was before, then I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is it, right? This is who I am. Uh, I don't know. I don't know how it goes. I don't know how if sexuality changes, if it is fluid. Maybe I'll end up being married to a woman. Maybe I'll end up being married to a man. At this point, I can't say. Uh, Maybe I'll have 1,000 lovers. 800 of them will be women, and then 200 will be men. I don't know. Uh, yeah, I don't even when it comes to lovers like with women. I'm not sure yet still, because what I do know is that like if I can go online right now and look for like pictures of sexy women, and I'll be aroused by it. I'll be aroused by the picture, but it's not clear to me that I want sex with her, because what happens if I think that I am her? Then that heightens my arousal. Like if I think of me having her body, then I'm more aroused than I would be if I were just thinking about me trying to have sex with her. So it's not clear to me that sex with women is what I want, but I do know that feeling feminine has something to do with my ability to be aroused. It does happen though sometimes that like if I'm watching heterosexual porn, where I'll imagine myself as the woman in the porn that I'm watching, and my arousal will start to go up. But then what happens a lot of times is it'll get to the point where I'm so aroused that I'm looking at this situation and I'm thinking she should not be having sex with this man, because he's not where I'm at. She should be having sex with me, because I can give her something that clearly he's not given to her. And anyways, uh, I don't know if I want to go into my theory about love, but One of the reasons that, well, if you can't tell, I'm kind of looking at myself and then looking at the camera sometimes. I seem to prefer looking at myself. If I could just look at myself the whole time, I would do that, but it feels kind of funny. One of the reasons that I'm making this though is because lately it has been the feeling that, or the thought that other people are judging me harshly is hitting me harder than it usually does. Especially since like Thanksgiving, because I was not invited to the last family Thanksgiving breakfast, which is the trend lately, which started around about the time that I started the hormones. It's been 14 months since I started the hormones, approximately. Actually, it's going on 15 months now. It'll be 15 months in 3 days. And from about the time that I started, my family pretty much quit inviting me to the family gatherings. And I'd already been told that I was not welcome at my dad's house in women's clothing when I came out as trans like 7 or 8 years ago to my family. And he told me then that I was not welcome at his house in women's clothing. And I asked him then, what's going to happen once I start taking hormones and I have breasts and it doesn't really matter like what clothes I'm wearing because I look like a woman. And he didn't answer the question. But then fast forward to 2021, and I guess I got my answer. So through all that, so like this last Thanksgiving came and passed, and I'm like, oh my God, my family thinks very little of me. Like they think so little of me that they're willing to, to put me out here in the cold, to shut. I don't want to say they shut the door in my face because I didn't go to their house. Actually, I could have gone and said hello, So I can't say they shut the door in my face, but to, what do you want to call it, silent treatment, not communicating with me, they didn't even, there was no communication about like when Thanksgiving the thing was going to be, anything like that. So after that, I was just kind of like, oh my God, like these people just their opinion of me is like down here, like I just don't mean anything to them. And so that is I don't want to say it's forced me, but you might, I guess maybe force is a good word, but it's kind of forced me to really kind of say like, is this the direction for me to go? Is this gender swapping, gender crossing, transgender behavior the way for me to go? And as far as I can tell, it is. I feel like I said, I don't know what if I'm going through a tunnel, I don't know what's on the other side of the tunnel. I might get out the other side of this and be like, the king of the universe or something. Maybe not. I don't know. When I start having sex with all those sexy women that I used to think about having sex with in the past, because now I know what it's like to. Well, I shouldn't say know what love is, but anyways, I'm not going to go so far as to say I know what love is now, but now that I have a better idea of what love is, who knows? And if I end up having sex with some of these women that I used to kind of look at and be like, oh my God, you're so fucking beautiful. I can never have sex with a woman like you. I wouldn't even be able to. Even if I was in bed with you, I wouldn't be able to. But now things are different. And I think maybe if I was in bed with one of these women and we had something magical, I might start to think, wow, I'm a real man after all. Me, but I don't know. I don't know. But yeah. Mm, uh, uh, that was the family thing. I kind of feel like for the last, I came out as trans, like I said, maybe 7 years ago, 8 years ago. I don't remember when it was. It was around 2014 or 2015. And since then, I've been in this kind of like scrutinizing, skeptical, just like, am I trans? Am I not trans? If why am I? Why do I feel so much better seeing myself as a woman? What does that mean? Uh, I think a lot of that had to do with the family. It was I was thinking all this time that it was just I want to know for sure if I'm trans or not, but I didn't realize how much of that had to do with my family accepting me. Because really, the question wasn't am I trans or not. The question was am I going to have a family or not. So it's because it's kind of like if I'm trans, then I'm probably not going to have a family. So if I'm not trans, maybe I get to keep my family. Maybe it's not too late. So I do feel like that was part of why there was that just feet dragging and just like I got to make sure that I'm trans. I got to make sure that I'm trans because what I think is that if my family just outright rejected me from the beginning, you know, then I might have just taken the trans thing and just run with it. You know, I might already be a famous tranny porn star by now, but I do think a lot of that hesitation that I got to be sure. I got to be sure. I do think a lot of that had to do with my family and just not being sure whether I was going to have a family or not. At the moment, it appears that I don't have a family anymore. It appears that way. Uh, and there is a part of me that feels like that sucks, but at the same time, I kind of feel like, with the way things are going, with the transformation that I'm going through, and feeling like now it might be possible for me to have healthy relationships, for me to have healthy sexual relationships and these sorts of things, and have the kind of intimacy that I've been wanting for a long time. It might be better for me not to be tied with them, just because I do feel like it was my family life from the beginning that put me in the situation that I was in, that I'm now having to get out of. I've never had healthy relationships. Like I said, I did not have a satisfying sex life, and as far as I can tell, a lot of that came from my family life growing up, and so I do kind of feel like maybe it's better for me just not to be involved with them at all. uh, uh, I don't feel wholeheartedly about that, but I also feel like uh, me. Uh, yeah, I'm not sure what to do about that. I really don't know what to do about that. Uh, me. I don't know what to do about that. As far as the family itself goes, the only thing that I know to do at the moment is to start looking for relationships with other people and start making real connections, healthy connections. The connection with my family, if I haven't made it clear, it just never was healthy. It was never. I never felt like I was at home. with them. Growing up, I felt like I could not be myself around my family. I remember thinking things like, if I expose myself to them, they'll reject me, and that's pretty much what happened. And so I do feel like the thing for me to do, it may not be to leave the city that I'm in and go back to Atlanta or find another city, which are things that I've thought about doing. But it may just be to, like I said, just try to meet other people here and just try to learn how to have a real relationship with somebody else. That's really not something I've ever had. I've come close to that, and I have kind of, you might say, like when I was in Atlanta the first time, I did make a friend there who, when I met her, within a few weeks, she told me, she said, "You've never had a real relationship." And I don't know where she got that idea from, but when she told me that, I'm like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't know how you know that, because I didn't tell you that." But she attempted to show me what a real relationship is, and I want to say she did a pretty good job. The only thing is that she was from Bangladesh, and so we spent like maybe a year or two together, and then she moved back to Bangladesh, and now I don't know what's up with her. And then I have a similar relationship with somebody who lives in France, but they live in France, so even though we talk often and that sort of thing online, it doesn't really feel quite the same as the other one, because with the other one we were physically in the same space and that sort of thing, and sharing sharing spaces and that sort of thing, seeing each other, talking to each other. Communicating with someone through text just doesn't have quite that same kind of engaging aspect to it. So those two relationships are really the closest to real relationships that I've ever had, and or have, you might say, and but I'm gonna have to try to do that with somebody here where I live, and that for me is also difficult. That for me is a challenge. One of the reasons for that is the sex part, because basically what I'm telling you is that I've never had a friend. In like I have friends, but they're not in the sense of like we hang out all the time and that sort of thing, right? Kind of like with the relationship I had in Atlanta, where we were together all the time. Like with my friend from France, we talk. If we don't talk every day, but if I were to go to France, I imagine he and I would spend pretty much, I don't want to say all our time together, but a lot of time together. So like the friends that I have here are more like people who maybe pay attention to me on Facebook. Maybe once every 2 or 3 years I hear from them, that sort of thing. They're not really the sort of people that I talk to about like things that I'm going through and that sort of thing. But for me to be close to somebody, to find somebody and to be close to them, that is a challenge, because if I say, well, what I really want is a friend, it almost, anytime I get close to somebody, it ends up happening that I want to be like close, like sexually close, or just physically close. You might say, like to sleep in the same bed or something like that. Like with my friend in France, I told him once, I said, I don't really feel like I want sex with you, but I think if I came to France, I would want to sleep in the same bed with you at least. And just because I already have that feeling of like closeness, right? So this is something that I've struggled with. Just for one, just confusion, especially with women, because there were a lot of times when I would date women, but then I would think, yeah, I really don't want, I didn't really want them as a girlfriend. I just wanted a friend, really. But it can be difficult to be just friends when you do want sex, too. And and then it happened quite often that like guys that I would get close to would come on to me, and I got to the point where I was just like, yeah, I don't think I want to be close to guys at all because I don't want to have to deal with that. Uh, so that is something that I'm gonna have to you know look at, work on, that sort of thing. One of the things that I feel like I have to look at is how do I deal with other people just in general, like with my family. What I feel like, I don't know if my family means to just banish me. I don't know if that's what they mean to do. What I suspect is that they're putting this pressure on me, this threat of banishment, you might say. I went, people might say they actually did. Not inviting me is a form of banishment, but what I'm getting at is that they're doing that not to say we don't want you around anymore, but to say if you don't change your behavior, then you're not welcome here. But of course, I'm like, well, how long is that going to last? If you see that I'm actually doing this, are you going to change your mind in 2 years? Or if once you realize that if that's their strategy, if it doesn't work, and in 2 years they're like, oh, we see you're still pursuing this, so now we'll let you back in now. Uh, if that's what they're doing, then my question is, for me dealing with other people, like, should I do that? I'm typically the opposite of that. Like with my family, I'm not trying to tell them how to act. I'm not trying to say that you will treat me a certain way or you will act a certain way in my presence. I'm not trying to do that, and that is one of the things that I'm a little bit questioning about, because I do think sometimes that I might have to start telling people how to act in my presence, because otherwise I won't have any relationships. And if someone acts in a way that I don't like, because with my family that's kind of how it was, where I was, like I said, I was growing up, I felt like I just couldn't be myself around my family, and some of that just came from how they acted, their behavior, and maybe I could have tried to influence them to acting a certain way, but for me, it was just easier just to leave. It was just better just to get away. And that has been my approach pretty much for all relationships, like with the women that I dated. If there was something that happened, if there was a red flag, or if they just acted in the way that I didn't like, instead of saying, that's unacceptable behavior, or I'm not going to date you if you do that, or that sort of thing, it was just like, bye, see you. I didn't say it like that to them, but that was basically my approach. Just as an example, like this girl I dated worked, the place where she worked at was right next to where I lived. It was like right across the street. And I found out one day that she was going, to work and leaving work and all that kind of thing, and not even stopping by to say hello or anything. And I said something to her about it, and then I just dumped her. And maybe I could have gotten her to change her behavior, but I kind of felt like, if I have to tell you, that I don't like that, then I kind of feel like, I don't. It's not worth it, because I don't like fake relationships. If you don't really like me, then don't pretend to like me. I go through the same thing like with my mother. She pretty much gave me up when I was 8 years old. I say pretty much because she stayed around a little bit. I mean, I don't say stayed around, but she kept in touch, and like I would go visit her at her house. She lived like 4 hours away, so I'd go visit her like during the summer or during Christmas and that sort of thing for a few years. So she did keep in touch, and but it just kind of just dwindled to nothing. And there have been a few times when I've thought, should I force that relationship? Should I demand her, take an interest in me and call me up and that sort of thing? These are things that I don't. I have a little bit of confusion about because of the same thing. It's like if I have to tell you to do it, then do I really want it? This is this isn't just a me problem. This is girls have this problem with guys quite often, where they the guys don't act in certain ways, and the girls are kind of like, I would like it better if you would do that, but I feel like if I have to tell you to do it, then it kind of defeats the purpose. And this is kind of where I'm at now, is how much do I have to influence other people's behavior in order to have a healthy relationship with them? So, does having a healthy relationship with someone else imply or necessitate me influencing, me saying, you have to act a certain way? If you want a relationship with me, I don't know. My approach so far, I would say, has not worked, kind of leaving people alone, but I don't know that means that is the wrong approach, because from my perspective, I wasn't necessarily being my real self. So now that I feel closer to my real self, I am kind of curious to see how this goes. So yeah, when I say that I think that I am trans, I think it's official. What I mean is that if I'm going to have a real relationship with somebody, then I need to be able to express this part of myself. Like I was talking about feeling feminine, like when I masturbate now, if I look at a sexy woman and I masturbate and I start to feel feminine, I feel like that is necessary if I'm going to have a satisfying sex life. So if I meet a woman, and maybe when we meet, she sees me as a man because I'm not wearing the wig or the makeup or whatever, and we go out and that sort of thing. Like I would have to tell her, by the way, if the boobs don't give it away, so, yeah, if they don't give it away, I'm a woman, or I'm like a woman, you might say, and I need to be like a woman sometimes, especially if we're gonna have sex. So, or at least need to be able to get into that feminine mind space. And this is one of those things where I'm also confused on, where I don't know if I need to be in a feminine, I don't know if I need the wig and makeup to get into that feminine mind space or not. It certainly helps. Having breasts certainly helps to make me feel more feminine. Like if I'm masturbating, I look down and I see my breast sticking out, it just kicks my femininity into the next gear, or that feeling of being feminine to the next gear. And so is that all? How long have I been recording for? 45 minutes. 45-minute video. I could have just used my phone and I would have a better light, a better all of this, the color here, it would all be better. But I don't like holding my phone to make videos. See, my hands are free to fidget, to put things in my mouth. So call me lazy if you want. But oh, I'm gonna play with my boobs for a second. I'm gonna play with my boobs underneath my shirt. I'm liking my boobs. The one thing that I don't like is that it might be hard to tell underneath my shirt, but they still look like man boobs. They just look like really big man boobs. They don't have that teardrop shape. They're more like they have more like a triangle shape. Like, because that I still have the muscle here from my man pecs, and so the breast kind of goes like this, right, at this kind of angle instead of out like that. So maybe that will change. I've only been 14 months on hormones, so but my breasts seem to keep getting bigger even after 14 months. They're still getting bigger by the day, it feels like. And what was I gonna say? Bye.